day, everybody. Today is Monday, and I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you had a chance to worship your Lord wherever and whenever you were, and just pray that that time was special to you. Today we look at Psalm, in our daily Psalms for Hope, we're looking at Psalm 109. And this is what they call, this is a prayer of David, but it's what they call an imprecatory prayer, where he calls curses on his enemies. He has just gotten to a point in his life where he is broken. And that's the part I want to just kind of focus on a little bit today. This is a long psalm, so I'm going to read pieces of this. So we'll read like 1 through 5 and then pick it up at verse 21 and see what he has to say. So Psalm 109, "Be not silent, O God of my praise, for wicked and deceitful mouths are open against me, speaking against me with lying tongues. They encircle me with words of hate and attack me without cause. In return for my love, they accuse me. But I gave myself to prayer, so they reward me evil for good and hatred for my love." And then he goes on to just express his heart in saying, these people need to pay for what they have done to me, Lord. And so we get down to verse 21. It says, But you, O God, my Lord, deal on my behalf for your name's sake. Because your steadfast love is good, deliver me. For I am poor and needy, and my heart is stricken within me. I am gone like a shadow at evening. I am shaken off like a locust. My knees are weak through fasting. My body has become gaunt and with no fat. I am an object of scorn to my accusers. When they see me, they wag their heads. Help me, O Lord my God. Save me according to your steadfast love. Let them know that this is your hand. You, O Lord, have done it. And then he goes on in verses 28 to 31. Let them curse, but you will bless. They arise and are put to shame, but your servant will be glad. And goes on more of the accusatory kinds of things. But I thought when I read this psalm, it was brought to my attention of this iconic movie that we all watch during the Christmas season, because this is the week of Christmas. And we have gotten to this point through the Advent season talking a lot about how God is with us. And that iconic movie that we all watch, It's a Wonderful Life, has a great scene at the very end when George Bailey, the character that Jimmy Stewart plays, is at his breaking point, right? And he's on the bridge, and he kind of says this little prayer. This is written down. He says, "Dear Father in heaven, I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there and you can hear me, show me the way. I am at the end of my rope." Now, this is actually at the beginning of the movie. I'm sorry. But the prayer is kind of a broken down prayer, very similar to what we picked up on in verses 21 through 27. David is at his rope's end, and he has nowhere to go other than to simply place his life before the Lord. And he says things like, for I am poor and needy, my heart is stricken within me, my knees are weak through fasting, my body has become gaunt with no fat, I'm an object of scorn, they just wag their heads at me. Help me, O Lord, save me according to your steadfast love. He is at a breaking point. And sometimes we get there, right, with a situation in our life or a person in our life. We just get to that place where we're just broken. And kind of like what happened in this wonderful life happens to us is that God does hear our cry and he responds. David says in verse 4, "But I give myself to prayer." In those times when we're broken down, those times when our hearts are just vexed for whatever reason, whether it is someone's words or something that has happened, where you just feel at the end of your rope. This is the God of the Advent who is part of your life, and we celebrate his coming this week. He was born into this world for this very reason, that we would have someone to go to, not if things happen, but when things happen. And so this is who this God is to us. He is a God that reaches us in those broken down moments and says, I am with you. Our loving God just responds to our simple prayer for need. And that's what his promise is. And that is what he will do for us in any difficult time we might have. And that's a great Christmas message. That's a great, encouraging, hope-filled message for us today, because we have a God who does respond, and we have a God who we can turn to always. May God's blessings be upon you this Christmas week, and be a blessing whenever and wherever you can.